vibrate.
Mm-hmm.
So we are live now. Yes, so we decided that this topic of sabotage was so important that we wanted to dive deep in one of the most glorious money-making areas of all times, which is relationships and love. And so we decided we want to talk to Theresa in depth about how the saboteurs show up in love and relationships. I think most of us know that we could do better in love and relationships. I mean, especially now with all the, the big numbers of how many people actually get divorced, and even when they get a second marriage, how they basically get, basically divorced second time, and how many people are dating and really just not getting anywhere. There's something more at stake here. So what are we going to talk about on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. CET, 7 p.m. UK time, 12 p.m. Mountain time, is it? Mountain time? So what are we going to talk about? We have an amazing title, Healing the Saboteur Triggers in Love and Relationships. So who is this for, Theresa? Who should come?
We are going to talk about love, baby. We're going to talk about you and me. We're going to talk about all the good things, all the bad things that we see. So, love, baby, love. Our natural state is love. It is that same version of yourself when you see a kid or kids, and they're wondrous and curious and excited and joyful. And that's truly our natural state of being. But what happened was, somewhere along the way, we developed these programs, defense mechanisms, you could call them, from being triggered into fear and doubt, worry, anxiety, scarcity, danger, whatever. So a perceived threat happens, and instead of being like a little kid and going, wow, I wonder what that's all about, we're like, no, I have to stay away. So our saboteurs are the things, the characters, the behaviors that show up when we're nervous or afraid or get triggered. So let's say you're in a relationship and somebody has my favorite quote, hey, can we talk?
We've got to talk.
We need to know anybody.
Run. My avoider wants to run.
Right? I mean, you get like that feeling and you flushed and you have a total physiological adrenaline response. And as Ellen so eloquently put it, her avoider, which is one of the saboteurs that can show up in Ellen, her avoider wants to get the hell out of Dodge, because who wants to have that conversation?
You know what? And we would actually we would rather have people who say we need to talk. We also have a lot of people now who ghost people, like relationship skills, like communication skills and self-knowledge skills. It's at a drastic low, whereas we have so much technology to communicate, so many books and so many courses to go to. But, when you look at the success rates of love and relationships, there's not a lot of satisfaction there. So, and the reason why we wanted to dive deep in this is because I had a huge wake-up call, which was actually we believe that we are the saboteurs. And we're not the saboteurs, because the saboteurs are always connected to the survivor brain, which is all about perceived threats to our safety, to our self-esteem, and to the things that we want to achieve that we think are, what we need to basically stay alive or have a healthy self-esteem. And if we keep on running these programs without actually knowing they're not even us, and this is why I think this topic deserves so much of our awareness, because it was like a mind-blowing wake-up call to actually know that I am not the saboteur. What I think is Angelique, how I showed up in all my relationships so far, even with all the training and all the coaching and all the meditation and all the masterminds, was still a saboteur program. It was shocking. And this is what you also saw in the other Facebook live streams that we had. Our audience, who was very self-aware, invested thousands of pounds in personal development, was still shocked about the test. So what are we going to discuss? Because we created this like outline, because I really wanted Theresa to go deep and to give us as much value as possible, so that they can decide whether or not they want to invest in this amazing 6-7 week course program about this topic.
And I just want to say social media has given us just more outlets to avoid each other. Really? Or to check Facebook stalk, Instagram check. I mean, ghosting is like a whole new level because someone's not calling you back or not responding to a text, but then you check their Instagram, you check their Facebook, and you know they've been online. So it just creates a whole nother level of anxiety for us if we let it happen. What we're going to look at on Tuesday are the different patterns that emerge. And as Angelique was referencing, when she was in a relationship, she found that safety, her hypervigilant saboteur, would become the most prevalent. So it's even if someone says something simple, like, I won't be able to be in touch with you for the next couple of days, someone with a hypervigilant in their background would be like, oh my God, what does that mean? And they would call their friends and what does that mean when he says he's not available? He's on Instagram, he's showing up here. The hypervigilant part of us is looking, am I safe or am I not safe? And we all want love. We all want connection. But what happened in our lifetime or in our childhood in ourselves was we believed we had to be a certain way. And that's the lie that we'll get into. We'll get into the lies of some of these different saboteurs. The pleaser will tell us we have to be pleasing to be worthwhile, to be loved, to be accepted, and that it's not pleasing to ask for what we want or need.
Yeah, we have to give up ourselves to actually keep the affection of somebody else. Because we're not even worthy, because that's really the deeper lie, like our needs don't matter. Yeah.
And that is just the way that you think a relationship is. And that's what Angelique is talking about. We have these ways that we think relationships are. And that's not even, they're built on old programs, limiting beliefs, lies, survival brain. And that's what doesn't work.
And I think what was the most shocking to me is that, all of us, when the last Facebook live stream, we had all these people who were shocked that actually they could see their survivor programs, but they identified with it. And for years, we didn't think there was anything wrong with it. But then when we actually go deeper and say, actually, if I keep doing this all the time, I will keep creating the same relationship dynamics. And what I felt was so clear about this program is actually, we need to first identify that who we think we are is not what is healthy, because it's still connected to the, let's say, survivor part of the brain. But the second thing is, if we identify this is not who we have to show up as, we can actually show up in a different way. We can actually tap into a complete different part of the brain, but those parts of the brain don't usually show up when we're triggered. When we're triggered, we run the fight, flight, freeze situations. And we think that's us, and we work really hard to get somebody else to give us that safety, give us that, whatever we need to make us feel safe, but it doesn't work. So what we're also going to delve into is how we can actually identify these more healthy dynamics and how we can cultivate them by weakening the way that we run the saboteur programs without actually identifying with them. And I can say, I haven't even started the program yet with Theresa, but just by interviewing her and reading the book, I've already started implementing the knowledge with the few tools that she gave me, and I've already had shifts. And I've done a lot of stuff every day, and so I'm really impressed with this program. And I am, I think it's a lifesaver. And I think those people who want to actually take 6 or 7 weeks time to invest in a program like this, I think, you will thank me later. That's all I can say.
Did you? Okay. So our natural space is to be loved. And I love that we have a child joining us, because we are naturally curious. We are naturally compassionate. We are naturally, we desire to connect with other human beings. But what happened somewhere along the way was we decided we weren't safe. It wasn't safe for us to be that way. So we created a way around it using defense mechanisms. And these things live in the background. They live as a part of you that you don't even realize, and they are blind spots. And if you start seeing patterns over and over in yourself or in the people that you're bringing into your world, then it's time to do something about it. And that's really taking your power back. And as Angelique had mentioned, being able to identify what shows up when, and sometimes if a person is too close, one saboteur may show up, right? Like if they're glomming onto you and you feel like you're suffocating and you need freedom, the avoider might show up. Or if they're moving away from you, the pleaser might show up. And it's important to recognize all these things, because getting back to that centered, sage, wise part of ourselves just allows us to connect with other human beings on a real level. And we talk a lot about the judge, and the judge shows up. Hi, sweetie. The judge shows up when we are believing something is right and something is wrong. So I don't know how many of you have women friends or girlfriends that are like, he did not do that. You need to kick him out. That did not. Who does that? And that is so common, that we will kick people out, push people out. You know, I am done with you because you did this thing.
It sounds also like the stickler, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously in toxic relationships or unhealthy relationships, it is important to draw boundaries. However, make sure that that's coming from a place of you loving yourself, not from judgment or making someone else wrong or them not living up to your idea.
So what we discussed as well when we were brainstorming this topic was that, you know, all of us read the books, we go to the seminars where we hug people, where we do retreats, and we don't even talk to each other. We know ourselves deeply, but then what do we actually do when we're triggered? When we did meet the soulmate, we are married, we did have our first child or whatever, we do have to talk about where's this relationship going, or, you know, the honeymoon is over. That is when we know all the knowledge, but because our survivor brain is running the program, we don't even have access to that knowledge. And this is where the program, I think this program is amazing that we're going to run together with Theresa, is you have to start to learn how to weaken the program while you're triggered. And that can only happen while you're doing it as you are living your life, not as an intellectual, you know, mental analysis, because your saboteur just completely overrides like a big bulldozer all your knowledge, because it doesn't even access that part of the brain.
So you can have all the training you want. You can law of attraction to death. You can Abraham Hicks till it's going out of style. But what will happen is when you bring people in and you're like, I'm full of love and light and blessings and good night, yeah, all this goodness, all of a sudden something happens in your brain, you get freaked out. That is not happening. That love and light is not what's showing up.
Absolutely.
And that's the important thing, is being able to check in on our bodies, our systems, our minds, our feelings in that instance. And we can train our brain. Our brains get really comfortable going down that freaky path, that neural pathway that's negative. We have to get comfortable switching it over. And it takes a little while. To build that habit. That's why the program is 6 weeks, but it's really 7 weeks because we do 1 week end closing. But that's why it's long. So you're practicing. And after a while, things that trigger you or activate you, they start just not even. You just get curious. They start like moving to the wayside. And even your frustration with other people. I mean, life is about relationships. Even now in the pandemic, we're still connecting. It just might be online. Yeah. And those things that trigger you about other people, imagine that they just don't bug you anymore. And people start to become this wholesome unit. They become the wholeness of themselves.
I can say, and we discussed this in the interview, that before I read the book, I didn't know how much the judge, the master saboteur, was running my dialogue. And I literally thought that was me talking to myself. But then I understood that's not me. That's the master saboteur trying to keep you safe. But actually, it's also keeping you stuck in so many ways, in low self-esteem, in negative self-talk. worry, doubt, and fear. And actually, I have all these other parts of me that literally shut down when the master saboteur runs the show. And I started intervening very quickly, and I've seen like rapid changes within a minute. And so this is the thing, when you can, what we're going to do in the interview is really run through the 10 saboteurs and how they can show up in your life so that you understand them. You can also ask questions. It's important that you do the test, positiveintelligence.com/assessment. We have it in the event. You RSVP, you can get the recording, you can get live on the Zoom, so that you can ask your questions. But yeah, we're so grateful that we found Theresa, that law of attraction brought you to us, because that's what happened. We attracted you into our lives. And I can say I have had I really can see now how important this knowledge is, because it's just life-changing, this information and this brain science and performance science and positive psychology and all of the different areas where this is based on science and not so much spirituality. It's of course it's very spiritual, but there's actually real brain science involved in this program. So thank you so much, Theresa. We look forward to seeing you Tuesday, and RSVP down below. And yeah, and follow her on her Facebook page. She does amazing daily fun exercises, which you can do as well. And so we look forward to it soon, Theresa. And maybe one day, I don't know, maybe we can discuss saboteurs in business and money, because there's a lot of stuff happening there as well.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much, ladies.
Okay.
See you Tuesday.
Lots
See
of
you
love,
Tuesday.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.